so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. People suffering mental ill health are on a downward spiral. The more episodes they experience leads to greater poverty. And research shows poverty exacerbates mental illness. Multiple researchers have shown that the mental health of individuals are shaped by the social, environmental, and economic conditions in which they are born, grow, work, and age. Poverty and deprivation are key determinants of children's social and behavioural development and their adult mental health. Here are some facts and figures. 5.3% of the Northern Ireland annual budget is spent on mental health. That's compared with the equivalent figure in England of 12%. So we're grossly underspending compared with what has been spent in England. Mental health problems in Northern Ireland are 25% greater than in other parts of the United Kingdom. Imagine if everyone who would benefit from counselling via their GP, if they were to actually access the amount of money that is allocated for counselling, it would amount to £2.29. I don't know if it would even buy one of those bottles of water. But if anyone knows a therapist who would work for £2.85 per session, let me know. The number of prescriptions issued for antidepressants by Northern Ireland GPs rose from 3.2 million to 3.4 million in 2019. That's an increase of 5.2%. Northern Ireland had one of the world's highest levels of antidepressant prescription, according to analysis published by The Detail in 2014. So it's a secular issue. Mental illness, greater poverty, more severe mental illness. Those with the lowest incomes in a community suffer 1.5 to 3 times more frequently from depression, anxiety, and other common mental illnesses than those with the highest incomes. So it is related to your wealth status. Women between the ages of 16 and 24 are almost 3 times as likely to experience a common mental health issue as males of the same age. And women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety as men are. 25.7% of women and 9.7% of men aged 16 to 24 report having self-harmed at some point in their life. There are numerous studies, such as the Spirit Level by Richard Wilkinson and Kate Pickett. And they point out that countries with the greatest imbalance in income have the highest rates of mental ill health. The United States has the highest rate of inequality and the poorest record on mental health, and the UK and Australia come close behind. Unemployment, and I'm cutting across some of the things Joanne was highlighting. Unemployment means that 31% of the working age population is not in paid work, higher than any GB region and 6% higher than the GB average. High rates of disability and limiting long-term illnesses, especially mental ill health, makes it difficult for some people to be in paid employment. A population study carried out in the Derry Strand district showed that 30.4% of the population has a significantly higher percentage of economically inactive than both the UK and Northern Ireland averages. Homelessness. Homelessness amplifies poor mental health. In October to March 2019, 8,527 households presented as homeless in Northern Ireland. The Belfast Council area has the largest number of homeless presenters per 1,000 of the population, with 7.5%. In an unequal housing system dominated by the private market, defined by peace walls and influenced by violence, that's where we place vulnerable refugees. Now, we welcome the refugees, but we are providing shelter for them in the most deprived areas that we can find. Academic studies and research articles have reported that Northern Ireland has the highest prevalence of mental illness in the UK, with psychiatric morbidity in Northern Ireland 25% higher than in the UK. The Youth Wellbeing Prevalence Study of 2020 also reported around 25% higher rates of anxiety and depression in the child and youth population. This is in comparison with other UK regions, reflecting a similar trend in the adult population. The latest official statistics from the Health Survey Northern Ireland 2019-20 report that around a fifth of the adult population aged 16 or over had a high general health questionnaire score, indicating a possible mental health problem. Most recent prevalence data from the Quality and Outcome Framework disease registers for mental health and depression also show a gradual yearly increase in the prevalence rate per 1,000 patients since 2013-14. After they returned from their 3 years lockdown when Sinn Féin walked out, the executive recognised mental health as a key priority area. And just recently, Robin Swan published a new 10-year mental health strategy and accompanying funding plan by the Department of Health. Now, this is to be welcomed. The funding plan has identified an investment need of 1.2 billion over the next 10 years to fully implement the strategy. We wait and see. The strategy that he proposed consists of 35 actions across 3 themes. However, the 10-year mental health strategy focuses on mental illness as a disease in need of support and treatment. Some examples of their proposed actions are providing the right support at the right time, whatever that means.
It's collapsed. And I think that obviously Stormont definitely needs to get back to work, as it were. Because while we can blame the housing executive and etc., the housing executive are directed by the Department for Communities here. In terms of to prevent homelessness, there's definitely little money, if anything, for new bills within the public sector, and people only need to have a look at the underpinning, and we can point out all the wonderful things that are in that, but what they will be looking to do to prevent homelessness and obviously to decrease mental health in an indirect way, to try and decrease poverty, is to look to the voluntary sector. There is only so much that the voluntary sector can do, because it depends on funding, mostly from either, if not obviously charitable donations, but certainly through state donations. It's simply not enough. And all I can say is that I think we as a party need to be focusing in on the issues that you and Joanne have addressed on, as well as homelessness, as well as the likes of health, and to obviously, I'm not saying a lesser extent education, again that obviously plays into it, but certainly those 3 categories. Thanks very much,
question to Trevor there. I don't know whether.
Yeah, surely can, yeah. If Trevor's willing to answer it, yeah.
Well, I don't know whether he would know or not. I'm just, you're talking about the housing and the private sector. So, is there not any law, or are they not, that the private landlords are answerable to as regards rent and the maintenance of houses and stuff like that?
Kevin, there has been just recently through the Assembly, I think before they collapsed, it certainly got its second reading, was the private tenancies bill. And really, I'm going to be honest with you, there is nothing in that I can see, and certainly even the homelessness sector can see, that actually prevents and protects people that live in the private rented sector. Yes, during the pandemic, whatever people want to call it, but during the period of COVID and lockdowns, the private landlords were not allowed to evict people at all, full stop, unless there was a really severe good reason for it. The period, they have extended things like the period of eviction, but there is nothing there. And I see this day and daily, what do you call it? Well, I see this, my staff see this day and daily of approaching private landlords in terms of adaptations and repairs. And that was the first, maybe everybody had seen it, was on the news locally, that housing for multiple occupancy had actually been refused by Belfast City Council to have their licence granted in the Stranmillis area. That's been the first ever in Northern Ireland where now the council have responsibility for that, have ever taken that action. And you can damn well sure, if you look at the people that live in the Holy Lands, either whether they're private tenants or whether they're people that are rental, and with the issues that have there's never no action has ever been taken. I'm being honest, there isn't. And again, in the sort of client group that I would work with, which is people with disabilities that might have obviously require adaptations and things like that, there is nothing at all in terms of legislation or even direction or regulation that puts the onus on a private landlord to make those adaptations available for people. People are more likely to get that in the social housing sector, whether that be housing executive tenancies or housing associations, but the money is not available to meet housing need. So I don't know if that's answered your question.
Cheers, thank you.
Yes, Lily?